I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In areas prone to disasters, this House believes that states should prioritize disaster mitigation over relocation. Before getting into my arguments, I will have to explain and give some definitions first about this motion. Okay, areas prone to disasters means that some areas in this country suffered many disasters such as earthquake, flood, landslide, etc. in the frequent times, and will be experiencing it again for the next couple of months, even years. And this disaster happens because of some factors. Number one, the geographical location of that area that made it prone to disasters, such as the line of Khatulistiwa that exists in Indonesia. That area could very possible to suffer many high activity earthquakes in a frequent and close time. Number two, bad infrastructure. By having bad foundation of a building, it can cause massive and frequent landslide, of course, that can happen in almost an instant. Number three, the last factor, obviously the humans. They throw away garbage everywhere that could lead to flood for almost twice a month, such as in Indonesia. Jakarta, the people throw garbage can everywhere. They threw their trash everywhere, and it could almost make it flood for almost twice a month. Because they throw their garbage into the river that could make the water rise and make it flood. Okay, moving on. Second, mitigation. It means that we would anticipate the upcoming disaster. For example, rebuilding underground water pipe system or the drainage system so it could contain water better and reduce the happening of a flood. We could also make a better foundation for buildings to prevent landslide from happening and also making it resistant to hold an earthquake. Okay, moving on to the next segment, we're talking about the status quo in here. The status quo in here is that many people are suffering because the area that they live, the area they love, their hometown, area that they have wealth in, are prone to disasters. In meaning that they have suffered many disasters and will be experiencing a disaster again for the next couple of months, even years. And relocating them will cost much more for them and also for the government, including it will cost much more than mitigating them. The vulnerable actors here are everyone in that area, including the underprivileged people and also the wealthy people. The condition is very severe and urgent because they could be experiencing another disaster again anytime sooner. Even more so, people have valuable items, wealth, loved ones, memories in that area. That would explain why they would rather stay on that area rather than doing relocation. And also, it will be a big burden for the government to actually relocate them. Why? Because when they relocate, they couldn't bring many foods, and they couldn't bring more clothes, etc. We're talking about areas here that could contain thousands of people. And relocating thousands of people, evacuating thousands of victims, while also giving them new clothes and foods will be a hell of an effort and cost of money, considering that government should take care of another things too, right? So we're here to propose for the motion that we should prioritize disaster mitigation. Okay, we're moving on to the next segment, my arguments. I have three main arguments here. Number one, justifications. We know that by not relocating people to another area will cost some of their lives when a disaster strikes again. But by mitigating, we're making it a better place for them. Like what I said before, for example, fixing the drainage water pipe system, giving information to people to throw away garbage and trash cans, giving information to people to what they would do if sometimes a disaster might strike again, so that people will feel safe to continue living in that area. So the mechanisms is like this. Mechanisms is like rebuilding infrastructure will be free. We would use tax money to rebuild the infrastructure that is resistant to disasters. And there will be training on what to do when the disasters happen, so that people will understand what they would do if a disaster happens. And there will be trained professional people from the government that will stand by in that area every day. In case something happened, people will follow what the professional would do, and they will be safe. That's why it is justified for the government to do this. Even if a disaster strikes again, the people will feel still safe because they have guidance that will help them to safety. Number two, why should this be implemented now? Because other efforts that we have already done is not as efficient and effective as this one. For example, Relocating people will cost so much for the government, and people would suffer from trauma that they suffer in the disasters. And kids will be separated from their parents. Their parents could be dead, the kids could be dead, and the parents will be separated from the kids, and vice versa. And people will lose their wealth. Imagine if people have real estate in that area, and then a disaster strikes again, and that real estate is gone, and then they don't have anything when they're relocating. And people will lose their homes. And also, evacuating victims from the debris of the disasters is not that easy. We're thinking about a whole area here. A whole area can contain like thousands of buildings, thousands of people that live in there. If the governments try to relocate them, it would be hell of an effort, because picking up a debris, you would use a big tools, and it would not be easy for the government to relocate them in an instant. It would take weeks, months to relocate them. And lastly, it would take longer and more expensive to rebuild destroyed buildings, rather than making it stronger and mitigating earthquake with stronger foundation. So if a building is already destroyed, if a building and the debris, it's hard to make it from zero again, and we would be just making it stronger, mitigating it from the earthquake with stronger foundation. And lastly, the third of my argument is our desired goal. Our desired goal is to ensure the area is sustainable to upcoming disasters. So, even if a disaster strikes again next time, people would still feel safe from the guidance we have told you earlier. We know that we will face some difficulties in the process, but if we were still doing relocation, then that prone disaster area would not be used anymore. It would be useless. It would be a dead area, because we have already relocated people from that area to another location. So that area would be dead, and it would be useless. And that is why we are proposing this motion, so that we could still put that area to a good use while people are still safe living in there. So the area could still be an economical business district area, and people will still feel safe to live in there. Even a disaster strikes again, they will still feel safe. Okay, moving on to my last segment is the trade-offs. So we are sacrificing the freedom of people to move to another location. We are sacrificing some lives of people in the process. But in the end, people will still live peacefully in that prone disaster area, and that area could still be used for the next generation of our people. And that area will be reconstructed again and again and again until it even be more resistant to disasters. And I think that is all that I can say. I hope the judge can choose us as the proposition team. I think that is all from me. I'm very proud to propose. Thank you.